Good morning, friends. We're off today on a very dark tour. We're off to a town synonymous with genocide, death, torture. Srebrenica, you might know it as. So it's going to be dark. It's going to be sad. We're going to see the town, meet some survivors of the Srebrenica genocide. And if you don't know what that is, I'll explain that to you. I'm just heading off to the tour office now, where I'll meet the tour guides, and I'll see what I can film as well, because it's going to be a very sensitive topic. So I'll speak to you soon. During my trip around the Balkans, I spent the majority of my time in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Bosnia and Herzegovina suffered one of the most brutal wars of independence from the former Republic of Yugoslavia. From April 1992 until December 1995, Bosnia and Herzegovina suffered more heavily than perhaps any other former Yugoslav republic. In today's video, we will visit Srebrenica, which underwent a genocide not seen on European soil since World War II. The history of Bosnia and Herzegovina is long and complicated, but I'll do my best to simplify it for you. Going into the breakup of Yugoslavia in the 1990s, Bosnia and Herzegovina was unlike the other republics in that it had three significant ethnic groups. The Bosniaks, who were by and large Muslim and represented 50% of the population, the Croats, who were by and large Catholic and represented 20% of the population, and the Serbs, who were by and large Orthodox Christian and represented 30% of the population. Each ethnic group had separate goals during the breakup of Yugoslavia, leading to three sides fighting in the Bosnian War of Independence. Srebrenica in the country's east was part of an area which was Serb majority. The Bosnian Serb army was known as Republika Srpska and, in essence, wanted to be more closely aligned with Serbia, if not completely part of it. As Republika Srpska made progress into taking towns such as Srebrenica in eastern Bosnia and Herzegovina early in the war, it effectively became under siege, with water supplies being damaged and food aid being restricted. A British journalist took video footage of civilians starving to death in March 1993. This, combined with the shelling of a school in Srebrenica in April, left 56 dead, including 14 children, prompted the United Nations to declare Srebrenica a United Nations safe zone. General Morillon, commander of the United Nations Protection Force, visited Srebrenica in March 1993. Residents of the town refused to let him leave until they were promised protection. It was there he made a speech declaring that the UN would never abandon them.
I deliberately came here, and I have now decided to stay here in Srebrenica. You are now under the protection of the UN forces.
He decided to stay. Now, we all thought we were prisoners, but the general turned the tables, and they applauded.
But if this doesn't work, General, what do you think it will do to the people? Because they warm to your words.
It will work.
Following this, in April 1993, the first UN protection forces arrived. Life returned to a somewhat normal in the Srebrenica safe area as supplies slowly returned. However, in early 1995, the situation deteriorated rapidly as fewer and fewer supplies began to get through to the Srebrenica safe zone. Bosnian Serb forces built up in the areas surrounding the safe zone. Finally, the president of Republika Srpska, Radovan Karadzic, ordered what was known as Directive 7, which stated, "By planned and well thought out combat operations, create an unbearable situation of total insecurity with no hope of further survival or life for the inhabitants of Srebrenica." On the 6th of July, 1995, Bosnian Serb forces began their assault on Srebrenica. United Nations protection forces in the area called for airstrikes to stop the assault. However, 30 of the UN protection force were held hostage. If airstrikes went ahead, Bosnian Serb forces threatened to kill them. Bosnian Serb forces also threatened to bomb surrounding areas where between 20 and 30,000 Bosniak refugees were located. NATO called off the airstrikes. On the 11th of July, Srebrenica was under the control of Bosnian Serb forces. Over the course of the next 10 days, Bosniak men and boys were separated from their families and killed. Thousands of women and girls were raped and tortured.
Evo nas 11. jula 1995. godine u srpskoj Srebrenici. Uoči još jednog velikoga praznika srpskoga poklanjamo srpskom narodu ovaj grad i napokon došao je trenutak da se posle bune protiv Dahija Turcima osvetimo na ovom prostoru.
As of today, 8,372 are known to have been murdered in cold blood. Every year, dozens more are identified and found in mass graves around eastern Bosnia. As entire families were killed, the attempt to identify unidentified victims is increasingly difficult. It is for this reason that it is believed the total number of victims of the Srebrenica genocide could be upwards of 10,000. Reading about the events that occurred in Srebrenica is one thing, but to visit there and meet the people who experienced it is another. Too many people are completely unaware of what happened in Srebrenica, but the name should be known to everyone. I hope by making this video, more people are knowledgeable of the pain and suffering that occurred there. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll enjoy the video. So guys, I'm in the Srebrenica Memorial Museum in the former base of the UN peacekeepers. Very, very interesting. Very, very tough. Different equipment of the peacekeepers in this room. This was the command room of the Dutch peacekeepers. Just think about the pain and suffering that went on outside these factory walls, or ex-factory walls. And even within here, you might see your brother, your grandmother, your father, your sons, sisters. What went on here when the Bosnian Serb forces invaded Srebrenica. Rapes, killings, deaths. Look here. That could be your grandmother. Could be a child. Could have been you. War criminals meetings between Mladic and the leader of the camps. Could you imagine? Can't even begin to imagine. Before being shot, many of the young men and boys had their hands tied behind their backs before they were shot in the back. No way to die, no peace, no closure for the families, for many of them. There are still mass graves out there that haven't been discovered. It's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. Not many people know about it. Not many people know about it. Here's some of the locations of the mass graves. So sad. So sad. The Srebrenica massacre, after all, which forced the world to come together to design the Dayton Agreement, which separated Bosnia into two entities. And as someone on a tour, I said that I was on the other day. He said the war never finished. It stopped, but it never finished. Separated Bosnia and Herzegovina into two entities, Republika Srpska and the Federation of Bosnia-Herzegovina. Still major tensions between the three ethnic groups, the Bosniaks, the Croats and the Serbians. But that's where we are today. But it took a massacre, it took a genocide of people before they stopped the war. How long is too long? I don't know. The names of all the victims of Srebrenica, you can see here, Sivic. Entire families wiped out. See the graves in the background. This wall goes all the way around with the names of all the victims, 8,372. These green ones, just buried this year.
They had also a huge problem with the cemeteries because the main cemetery was occupied by Bosnian Serbs, so they started to bury.
Wow, so on this field they say more than 5,000 people were died or wounded. A lot have died. Right. Good morning, guys. It's the day after Srebrenica tour, and I realised I didn't really fully finish off the video or explain what happened after the cemetery. So after the cemetery, I went to two survivors of the genocide to their house, and a really good conversation with them. They made us food, and traditional Bosnian food, and it was absolutely delicious. Homemade, homegrown. They had chickens, and they killed the chickens literally the day that we got there, so incredibly fresh. And yeah, talked about the genocide. The lady was 7 years old when it happened, and the man 13, and he was lucky. I mean, he considers himself lucky when he saw a lot of death. He lost 70 members. He lost 70 members of his family in the genocide, and he has bullet hole wounds, shrapnel wounds. This is all when he was 13 years old. He watched his cousin die because a grenade went off next to him. And the lady, his wife, who was 7 at the time, she had to bury her father without a head. They found her dad killed without a head. I mean, so this really, I didn't want to film in there because it was their personal house, and like, I don't know, I wouldn't want someone coming into my house with a camera and just filming them, and I want it to be authentic as well. I just didn't want to feel like I was intruding their space, and yeah, that's the reason I didn't film. But it was very good, and they're incredibly friendly. I bought some sort of key rings off them. They don't make much money. They live in the Republika Srpska area, which is the Serb majority area. They face a lot of discrimination, a lot of genocide denial, and so they get a bit of money from providing this food on the tours. They sell all the local produce. They have their own little farm and homestead, and incredibly generous people. And the man, he saw how interested I was in it and how much I wanted to learn about it. He gave me a book. It's in Bosnian, but I'm going to try and read it by translating it with my Google Translate or something. But yes, that's what happened afterwards, and it really made things real, and it really put things in perspective, because you can read about the genocide and you can go to the museum about the genocide, but until you actually meet people who lived through it and went through it, it puts a face to the stories. And although I'll never know what it was like and what the horrors they went through, that's the best I could do. But signing off from the genocide story. Gonna go try and get some breakfast now, and need a coffee, and I'm gonna try and go and see the Bob place. Speaking of it, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the video.